and then we'll get started. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Cherie in just a moment to talk about the curriculum revalidation. Just a little housekeeping as we have our webinar today. A couple of things. If you are on your computer, a headset is recommended. It helps reduce the background noise. Your microphones actually are not muted, but if you get too rowdy, I'll have to mute you, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be a problem today. But if you do have questions and you do want to speak when we start taking questions, all you need to do is choose the talk button in the upper left corner of your screen, and you'll be able to speak. And let me show you some of the things you're looking at in the webinar tools. Under audio and video, where you can adjust your talk and your speaker volume is right there with the sliders. You can see that you can use the smiley face and some other emoticons underneath to tell us how you're feeling, things of that sort, and it will pop up next to your name. The button next to the smiley face with the clock on it, that's if you step away from your computer. The little hand is when you raise your hand. It would be great if you have a question, if you could raise your hand just so we could take them in the order that they're received. And then there's a polling feature, which is the checkbox, and there's a little pull down. So if, when Cherie asks a question, you can just use that little pull down to choose a yes or no answer. The next box below, you'll see all the participants who are on the call with us, as well as below that you'll see the chat box where you can chat your questions and comments. And then for the phone users, I am going to ask that you mute your personal phone line by choosing *6, and you can unmute it by choosing *6 again. Also, if you chose to have your computer and phone running simultaneously, please be sure to turn down the volume on your computer. Otherwise, you will have echoing because you'll be listening from both the computer and the phone. That's about it for me. I will happily turn it over to Cherie.
Okay, great. First of all, I want to thank everybody for taking the time and squeezing in this webinar. We did one this morning with the state of Oregon, and already our technology issues are a lot less with our Washingtonians. You guys are good stuff. But this is new for us and what we're doing, so give us grace as we try to go through this process. What we're talking about today is the same thing that we've been talking about for the last couple of years. Some of the people that are on the line are very familiar with what we've been going through, and some may not be. So some of this will be a tiny bit repetitive, but we'll move quickly as long as we know that everybody is on the same page. So the first thing is to say hi and thanks for joining us for this curriculum revalidation webinar. I want to make sure you know that our objective throughout this entire spring season in 2015 is to communicate with all of our WAFC partner colleges. That's about 150 different colleges in 14 or 15 states actually. And trying to make sure that everyone really understands what's happened with the Retail Management Certificate curriculum over the last couple of years and where it's headed. So, the first thing that most of you know is that we were awarded a federal grant. It went to several of our partner colleges back in 2012. And the great thing about the recognition we received from the Department of Labor is that it's giving us the opportunity to scale the Retail Management Certificate nationally to any college that's interested, and then to introduce it to the entire retail sector by 2016. This means that we will have a nationally recognized certificate in retail management, and I believe it's a first. So going forward, we want to make sure that all of our college partners today are provided with the most up-to-date and relevant information and content regarding your curriculum. And it's really important because we need the program to be consistent across the nation, since it's going to be endorsed and recognized by our industry with an industry certificate as well as your college certificate. And we've been discussing this particular information since spring 2013 at our statewide advisory meetings, but some people, it's very difficult for them to actually get there, so it's kind of new news for some. So some of the colleges are up to speed, but most of the colleges are not. So I guess the first big question is, why are we even doing this revalidation? And a lot of you know that the competencies in the Retail Management Certificate were originally founded 14 years ago, or maybe even longer. And so the curriculum and the content was established back in the mid-90s based on the core competencies from that time, based on what was considered critical for managerial success. But we want to ensure that the program is relevant today and that the retail industry has a relevant program going forward. So the grant afforded us the opportunity to review the competencies that were required for success and to identify new or different KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities, for retail managers today. We've been able to revalidate the competencies and enter into this curriculum review process with our community colleges, which is vital because it helps all the colleges make sure you have the most up-to-date, fresh course outcomes or student learning outcomes, which are words that I use interchangeably for this purpose. So the first question for the colleges, and this is where Barbara was suggesting we try to poll the group, is to have you let us know how many of you are familiar already with the revalidation event and the request to update your curriculum. So there's in the bar that says participants, there's an opportunity, a place for you to do a pull-down menu and say yes, no in the polling option. And there are some people who are on the phone who won't be able to do that, so I'm going to ask you all, those of you who are on the phone, to look at both of these questions and go ahead and respond, and then mute your line again.
This is Ryan Raggers. I am aware of the 8 class model.
Okay, great.
And this is Darlene, and I am just becoming aware.
Okay.
And this is Tim Allvine at Lower Columbia, and we are aware, and I think we're compliant.
Brett Booth is Spokane Falls, and we are aware of it and working on being compliant.
For those of you who are on the phone, let us know your answer to the second question.
Could you repeat the second?
How many of you have already reviewed and updated your curriculum or are in the process?
Clover Park is at 9 right now. However, after our last couple conversations, I may revisit and get that down to 8.
Hi, Sheree. This is Amy from Olympic, and Candace, feel free to weigh in. We're still reviewing the changes. It's a small discipline for us, and we had faculty out on sabbatical, so we're still in the process.
Tim, where are we?
Yeah, I can confirm that. We went through. Excuse me, do I have the mic, Sheree?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So I just wanted to reiterate what Amy had said, that we have went through and done some cross-referencing between the current outcomes that we need in the courses that formally were certified by the WAFC and the changes in the competency-based curriculum now.
Okay, great. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and move on in the PowerPoint, and then because I think most everybody has a good idea of what's going on. Thanks, Sally. I just saw that. I'm going to go through the next section fairly quickly, and just making sure that everybody has the same tools and information. Okay, so just you all know the panel. We had an expert panel that we brought together in 2013, and it was guided by a 4-year university provost who has experience in competency-based education. And she brought these industry experts together from 11 different companies, and they are the ones who helped us review the curriculum and the competencies to revalidate the competencies and update the program. These are the 15 competencies. Those of you who are on the phone, I want you to know that everything that we're discussing is also available on our website, which I'll show you in just a minute. But if you're looking for the actual competencies that were revalidated, they're going to be in the college section of the retailmanagementcertificate.com website. Next thing to look at, during the session that where we brought the folks together, we had the group confirm for us that the role of manager has become much more sophisticated, and their recommendations were made to better reflect the academic needs of the store manager in 2013 and beyond. So ultimately, the group recommended that the program remain pretty much intact, but there were a few enhancements they felt would accelerate students' learning and get them, increased certificate completion rates. So the two areas that they recommended changes, which would bring it down to, in a perfect world, an 8-course program, were in the communications area and the quantitative skills. And this is an example, this page is an example of the document that we use, where we show the competencies in the right-hand column that our expert panel identified, and match it up with course outcomes or student learning outcomes. In this case, the competencies 1 and 2 are business reading and writing. Competencies 8 and 9 are oral communication and interpersonal skills. Competency number 15 is technology, and in this case it's relative to business writing and presentation skills. The next example for you is the other area where the financial management and budgeting is being focused on. And this is the course that takes the business math and the financial accounting type skills and blends them together into a higher level accounting course in a perfect world called financial management and budgeting. The biggest competency that this course focuses on was number 13. The definition of financial management, as defined by our expert panel, was the ability to apply math skills to calculate, interpret, and analyze financial information to make business decisions. So this is much more robust than what we've had in the past with a basic business math class and basic accounting, or even worse, bookkeeping. It incorporates other competencies that are critical in the areas of decision making and business ethics and adaptability, and then business writing and technology. But the decision making and business ethics and adaptability come in because of these higher level skills that are being required in a course such as this. All right. So in a perfect world, this is the list of the generic course titles that the program would include. And now, as part of this revalidation effort that we're doing through the grant, we really need to connect with each and every community college individually. And we're asking that every one of our partner colleges reviews and updates your Retail Management Certificate curriculum to ensure that the program is aligned with the core competencies and student learning outcomes that we looked at in the previous two slides. And we are going to urge all of our colleges to look at moving toward this 8-course model. And these are two major shifts that we really believe ensures our students are getting the most relevant and necessary competencies in a timely manner. So obviously each college is looking at how this is going to impact you. And I'm going to reiterate, our goal here is to achieve consistency among all the college partners because of it becoming a nationally recognized certificate. And we've got a couple of deadlines that we're talking about. The first one, the long-term one, is that by July of 2016, each one of our community college partners ultimately will need to demonstrate that their selected courses provide at least 70% match, if not higher, with the competencies and outcomes that we're going to review again just in a minute. This means that we have to update our website in June of 2016 and include the colleges, only the colleges that have confirmed that their program is on track. To date, we only have about 15 community colleges out of the 150 that have already moved to the new 8-course model, and their approvals are in process. But as we introduce this to new colleges across the nation, we will be introducing it as an 8-course model. And hopefully it'll be easier for them to start with that rather than switch, which is what you're all struggling with. We're going to have a Q&A session for sure, but let me just kind of get through this piece of this. So you know that our primary objective in the revalidation process is to make sure that our students are getting the most relevant skills and knowledge within the shortest timeline, which is why we think 8 courses would be ideal. But we also recognize, and this is certainly true in Washington, that there's a struggle to get to that 8-course model, and it just may not be possible for all of our partners due to prerequisites or mandates for the associate degree. And so the bottom line is that all of the colleges have to comply by confirming that their courses provide our students with the right course outcomes. So we're going to ask you to review your competencies, review your course outcomes for your program, and complete a curriculum crosswalk. It's a form that is available for you on our website, the retailmanagementcertificate.com website, and we'll be asking for you to download that form, save it to your computers, and complete it, and then send it electronically to us at the WAFC.consortium email that you see so often in preparing for some of our advisory meetings. And then at that point, the WAFC will review and confirm your crosswalk, and if there are any concerns or suggested changes that we're still looking at, then we will ask, or we'll have a conversation around that. So let me get to the next one. This, I want to point out, most of you have probably gone to our new website. This is a snapshot of the community college section of the website. And this is the one that contains this tab under community colleges and then curriculum revalidation contains all of the resources you need to complete the crosswalk. It also has the executive summary about the revalidation. It's got the competencies and that the crosswalk form that I suggested that you will download. Some people have had trouble completing that form, so there are instructions specifically about how to do that so you don't lose your work. Okay, and then this is a snapshot of just one section of the crosswalk form, and this is the one for the communications course. So this is just as an example. If yours is a community college that knows that you have to keep a written communications course, English or speech or whatever it is, and you know that you're going to be stuck with having 2 classes just based on things that you can't get around, then you would be completing this form by including the applicable course for the written communication course outcomes, and then the applicable course number for the course that covers the oral communications. So this is just an example. Okay, before we get into the Q&A, this form, the crosswalk form, we're going to ask everybody to try to complete this by March 16th of this year. Now, I'm hearing from some of you that you're in progress, you're changing things. So if you're really close to doing that and you just want to send this form once with what's final your 8 course or your 9 course program, that's great. But if you know that you're a long way off, we would still like for you to complete the crosswalk form with where your program is today and give us some sort of an idea of what you're thinking about trying to move closer to the 8 course model. Okay, so now we are in the Q&A section, and it's an opportunity to either hear from you verbally if you want to use your microphone, or if you can't and you need to type something in, that's okay too.
Hello, Barbara.
Hi.
Barbara, this is Tim Allwine at Lower Columbia College.
Hi, Tim.
I think we talked some months ago. My question has to do with the financial management course. We have 2 separate courses that address the new outcomes partially. So our students take accounting, which covers most of the financial accounting pieces of that. And then we have business math that covers competency 13. So my question is, do we need one consolidated course that completely covers all outcomes, or can we sort of mix and match?
Okay,
Tim, I actually have an answer, but I'm going to let Cherie answer since she is the lead on a lot of this curriculum changeover. So I'll let Cherie answer.
Okay, and Tim, it is a great question and one that is coming up everywhere. Some colleges have found a way to combine by taking the information we're looking for in the basic math skills, and so I put that screen or that page back up on the webinar so that we can look at that. The very first outcome is to apply basic math skills to calculate interest, payroll, rate of change, discounts, markup, pricing, gross margin, and net margin. And that's it for business math. Competency 13 really is much bigger. And I'm going to read that one because it's not on your screen.
Okay.
The definition of that competency is the ability to apply math skills to calculate, interpret, and analyze financial information to make business decisions. So it's really a huge competency. And so the math class, people take a full semester-long business math class, and that all they needed were these things, calculating interest, payroll, rate of change, etc. So what some colleges have done is embedded that single course outcome into a financial accounting course without a prerequisite. So they've beefed up the financial accounting type course to add those basic math skills at the beginning of the course in order to apply them to the real purpose of the course. On the flip side, we've had some colleges who have tweaked their business math course and made it more robust by adding information around financial reporting and analyzing those financial reports to make business decisions, etc., which are all the other outcomes you see. So in a perfect world, we would love to have one class that does that. But what I understand about Washington is that for those of the colleges that have an AAS, or where you've got an AAS and it's got other things that roll up to it, that by us asking this, it sort of derails you. And so we're really trying to massage this, and I know that Amy is one of the ones that we've kind of been scratching our head with, and Brendan, who is really sick today. I know Darlene is on the line because of this conversation. I think this is probably the only area for community colleges in Washington that everybody's is struggling with. Does anyone else want to respond around this topic?
Well, if I could just add one other piece, and I don't know if it applies in other states or regions, but in Washington State, Accounting 101 is one of the common course numbered courses. And so the course plan essentially is fixed statewide, and that's what we're currently requiring in our version of the Retail Management Certificate. And I don't know if we have the ability to tack on additional outcomes on top of that statewide common course plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Is Accounting 101 the basic debit credit accounting class?
Yeah, it's Principles of Financial Accounting.
So if it's Principles of Financial Accounting, then it incorporates quite a few of the outcomes in this particular course as you see listed there, right?
Yeah, pretty much all of them except the basic math, although I'll have to go back and look at what that course plan actually calls out. Obviously, you can't do much accounting if you don't have the basic math, but we have a separate payroll accounting class, which is more about accounting for payroll than it is necessarily focused on the calculations. The calculation side of it is covered in our business math class.
Does anyone else have input that might shed some more light on this? Okay. All right, well, let's table that for a second because Sally is commenting, and she said we have the same question with speech and writing. They have 2 3-credit classes at Skagit, and they have trouble combining the 2 into 1 5-credit class. Have the other colleges on the line, have any of you tackled that? Is anybody offering a combined oral and written communications course that covers the majority of the competencies you see, or the course outcomes you see listed here?
This is Tim again, not to hog the mic, but we do offer a business communications course, and it combines both the written and the public speaking outcomes. So we're good to go there, but in our current offering of the Retail Management Certificate, we offer a communications option where prior to this change, the student could take the traditional composition class, English 101, or our business communications, and the change for us is merely going to be requiring only the business communications course.
Okay, okay, that's great. Hang on, I want to get to what Bill just said, but you're right. We have always said that if somebody was looking at this from a transfer standpoint rather than either the certificate as the end or AAS as the end, then we would give them permission to take English 101 and speech as opposed to doing the business communication. And now that we're really looking at the relevancy and sort of a different focus around competency, we're more excited about using that business communications course because it does provide them with the competencies we're really looking for. And I'm thinking you've got that in a 5-credit course, and it combines oral and written, but Bill's comment is that it doesn't currently have any public speaking in it. And I know that this has been what a lot of the colleges are doing, is adding a public speaking component to have people do a couple of speeches in that business communication course. And back to Sally's question, nobody's got anything more than 5 credits for that I know of. I think that's an absolute max. Also, in reviewing, looking overall number of credits, if it was an 8 course program, the max would be 40. But we're not requiring a certain number of credits, at least from the WAFC. I think the question probably relates to rules in the community college system around the size of certificates. Sally, I'm not sure what you're asking. Will the review care about 2 3-credit classes instead of 1 5-credit class? No, that would be, I think that's an okay option. What we're really looking at, if we had the complete course, if we had the complete crosswalk form here where you could see it all, then you could see how you could pull that together. But I'm going to just pick on that for the communications class, and here it is. So if you've got 2 columns for applicable courses, you could have a 3-credit class and a 3-credit class, and so it's a total of 6 credits. And if you were able to get the accounting type course down, you'd still be in good shape. So Bill says the larger issue for us is that many of the courses are involved in other certificates, right, and degrees as well. And this process has actually pushed us to revisit our entire program offering. Well, I hope that's a good thing, Bill. It is, good. And that's the other thing. I know that local advisory boards that you guys have encourage you to go through curriculum. Yeah, it is a lot more work. And look at your classes and the course outcomes. And I learned a new word earlier today called course drift, where over time certain courses get tweaked and morph into something that they weren't intended to be. And so this is a good exercise for us. We've been focusing on the communications and the quantitative areas, but you'll note the full crosswalk form has fresh and very succinct and deliberately worded outcomes. And it's worth looking at. The other one I would say is the retail management course is much more robust than a lot of colleges have. It's not a retailing class, it's a retail management capstone. So, okay, other questions, comments? You can use your mic if you have the ability as well. This is the hard thing about webinars is you can't see body language and facial
Sheree, this is Candace.
Great. Hi, Candace.
So one of my questions is, as we were evaluating our course outcomes against the competency-based course outcomes in the WAFC certificate, we looked through them and it appears that under many of the areas we teach to those outcomes, but they are unit objectives or outcomes versus our course outcomes that are aligning. Is it that we have to modify our course outcomes to match the WAFC course outcomes for them to be viewed as applicable?
That is an excellent question, and the answer is no. I hope that makes you feel better.
Way better.
Okay, this is what we care about. You could have an awesome course, and it might have 15 different course outcomes or student learning outcomes. As long as they include these, then you have 100% match. If you're missing 2 or 3 of these, you might be less than a 70% match, and we would love for you to build these into it.
Okay, but I want to make sure I understand that we don't always make public our unit or course outcomes that we're teaching. All of these, for instance, that you have listed, those wouldn't necessarily be part of our documentation of course outcomes at the college level. This would be at a individual classroom level. And that's where we're having the problem, is that the course outcomes listed officially at our college do not match up closely in a lot of places. But you're saying no, that's not necessary as long as we individually are teaching to those outcomes within our courses.
Yes, but the way you're describing it, when you've got academic freedom and each individual instructor can do whatever they want, they're following the outcomes you tell them. They may or may not know that these things need to be incorporated. But what we are doing, this crosswalk form, as completed by the college, goes on file with us, confirming that your course includes and you teach to at least 70% of the outcomes listed for each of our courses. So we don't need your course outline, we don't need those specifics, we just need your confirmation, and we have faith and trust in our colleges that if they say they're teaching to this, then they are. It's a question of individual instructors and whether they know whether there's something they're referring to that makes sure these things are taught.
Okay, so that helps to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay, that was a great question. Others? Anyone else? Some of you are awfully quiet. Okay, well, if there really aren't any other questions, then I will say thank you for participating and give you the opportunity anytime you want to pick up the phone or email me to ask other questions or to noodle through this. And great, thumbs up to Bill. You're saying you're definitely going to hit the 80% mark. I love it. So we're going to be going through this, and I'm hoping that we will hear back from each of you by March 16th with a completed crosswalk form, whether it's at 8 or 9 classes, or 10 at this point, and then we'll just keep working through it. We've got until June of 2016 to keep massaging this. And you know what? There's one more thing that I did not mention, and that is that we have you may know this, we have an instructional designer who's been working behind the scenes for the last year to pull together some tools and some bells and whistles and all kinds of ancillary materials and content for each of the 8 courses in the new model, and it will be available completely free on an open source platform for all of our community colleges. So between now and June of 2016, we may have the opportunity to revisit areas where you're struggling to get it in line, and maybe these things will be helpful to you. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much for participating, and we will talk to you soon. I want you to be making sure that you are saving the date for our spring advisory meeting, which is not until May 15th, and it's being held at Green River Community College, the place that we like to hang out these days in Tacoma, and lunch is on QFC, Quality Food Centers. Okay, talk to you all soon.